Hi everyone, hi Nick. I have a new journal to share with you. I made this one yesterday. It is a hardcover covered in this really pretty sort of a dark, I don't know, kind of a dusty teal. Sort of like, I call it like 40s blue. Hang on, I'm gonna zoom back out. Let me see. I'm having to reach. Okay, there we go. Excuse me. It's like a 40s kitchen blue sort of color. It's just distressed on the back. The spine is just plain. And on the front cover is some cheesecloth. Some seam binding bow. This is a vintage photograph from the 40s during the war era. Some vintage buttons, and I looked up some quotes from World War II and typed out this one: "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Oops. And then I cut it apart and inked it up and put that on there. The closure is just the not Tim Holtz. We Are Memory Keepers. The eyelets and some more seam binding. On the top is paper clips with vintage lace and bias binding, bias tape, and some grosgrain ribbon. This is on a tag, so is that. There is a little bit of cheesecloth in the spine, a la Nick the Booksmith. On the edges of the pages are paper tabs that I punched out with a retired Stampin' Up! Punch that you have to pay like $200 to get if you want one. On the sides there's 3 signatures. The middle one is just coffee dyed paper, so the first and third are embellished. It measures about 5 by 7, and this is a 2-inch spine. The theme is, as I'm banging the camera, the theme is World War II on the home front is what I'm calling it, like the war years on the home front. And you'll see why when we go inside. Front and back inside cover, I used this really pretty floral paper that kind of reminds me of wallpaper or fabric of that era. And the front I just left plain. On the back I put a vintage library pocket and a vintage library card. And I didn't have any with the dates from the 40s, so this one is like 1955 was the oldest one that I have, so put that there. And then I put this book belongs to, and then I ran my thumb across it and smudged it a little bit, but you know, it's vintage. The printables I got from Etsy. I cannot remember the name of the Etsy shop, and I apologize. I will look it up and link it when I upload the video. The pages are edged with rickrack and the same bias tape, and buttons and little bits of ephemera. I've done corner pockets with layering. There's guest check with some fabrics just stitched on. I cut some advertisements from a magazine that I have from that time period, sewed them on to coffee dyed paper, and then I just have some of that era sort of printables. Have catalog pages from that time frame. I used some of the letters that I have from that time frame as well. This one's from 1943, and I just made pages, so that was one whole letter there. Sheet music, and these are all military. I've got the Marine hymn in here, the Army hymn as well, and you'll see the as we go through, you see the words further in. Some more magazine pages. I have cookbook pages vintage cookbook pages from that era. This is a seersucker pocket. It was just the pocket. And I just trimmed it down and glued it down and made a pocket out of it. And I have this tag that I embossed that I got from Junk Bag Treasures. And then I made some tags. There's a garment pin with a vintage button. I hope I'm staying in frame here. And we have doilies. There's lots of room to write. There's V-mail from the period, so those are antique. Some more of the sheet music. And this is part of the Army hymn here. More magazine. There's Rosie the Riveter. And I did some pockets. I just used some scrap paper and I folded them in half so they will flip open so you can journal there. And some more vintage advertisement and a tag that I made with some of the offcuts from the inside covers. I can get that back in there. I love the kids in these magazines. The catalog pages, they're just so cute. Reminds me of a coloring book that was my mother's that she hadn't used up from when she was little, that she let me play with when I was little, and the illustrations were just like that. And that's another advertisement with a lace pocket and a paper bag that's just empty. And some more cookbook pages. Talking about how you can use your Victory Garden harvest and how to preserve things because there was so much rationing. I have some vintage photos that I made into pockets. I don't know if that's a war vessel or not, but well, it looked kind of convincing. And in here, just have some ephemera. And this is from a Civil Defense League pamphlet. It's about creating a gas-tight room in case we got hit with blister gas. And there's a few pages of that in here. Beautiful hats. Some more advertisement that I made into a pocket. There's a antique ID tag. And this is an also antique vintage envelope from 1945, and it came over from France because there's the telegram, the V-mail, copy of the V-mail that was in it, and it came this way. It's May 13th, 1945 from France. So I took that in there. And some more cookbook pages. Oh, they're so thin you can't even turn them. There's some more from that Civil Defense League pages. Stuff about the Army. It's the center of the signature. I just made an envelope and it's just some extra paper in there. Sheet music. Oops. Air raid instructions, reminding you to keep your eyeglasses and dentures in the refuge room. But you don't want to be in an air raid without your dentures, apparently. And some more cookbook pages here. Another vintage photograph. And some more advertisement. And this is one of the envelopes from the letters that I used, that I stitched into the signatures, so that can be used to tuck things in or in another project. And we have recipes for wartime eggless, milkless, butterless cakes. In a paper bag. This one flips up, and there's a pocket behind it with, this is a photocopy of one of my mother's ration books from when she was a little girl. And another advertisement. More of those really cute children there. Magazines and sheet music, V-mail. It's another vintage photo. Some advertisement for Listerine and some ephemera. A cookbook. Airmail envelope, and I just made a pocket out of it. That's a ration coupon there. And some extra paper. Put it this way, it won't catch. And that's the other half of that letter. Curtains and bath mats. There's a tuck spot with a Hermelinda tag. And that's the first signature. Here's the second signature, and it's just coffee dyed paper. And there's the third signature, which is basically like the first one. It's another vintage photograph, and it says, "They are supposed to be drunk. Do they look it?" This is from they've got a date on the back, it's from 1943. And there's another Hermelinda tag. And this one flips down. And behind it is a chart of what different signs and things were, different symbols for things. And there's a second envelope, because there's a letter in this signature as well, so that's the envelope for that letter. Paper bag, more catalog and V-mail, and cookbook. That's the Marine hymn there. And instructions on what to do during a blackout, and how to put up blackout shades. Some more children, another vintage photo. Doily, the Army hymn. Magazine, very comfortable underwear. It's another vintage ID tag and some more advertising. It's another airmail pocket with some more extra paper. And that's a vintage ticket and another ration coupon. It's like, I guess coffee took 44 rations, I guess. I think that's how that worked. There's some more cookbook. There's another tuck spot with some ephemera, and that was the cover to, that was my grandfather's ration book. There's another letter. Center of the signature with some more from that Civil Defense League pamphlet in here, and these pages are all about war gases. They were concerned about chemical warfare even during that time. Get in there. I have some more advertisement, a vintage photograph, and an embossed and inked up tag that I made in a lace pocket. Fillmore magazine. This flips this way. There's another Hermelinda tag. And another advertisement. This one's for My Doll. If you're old enough, you will remember My Doll. More advertisement for girdles. A magazine. Sheet music. It's another another vintage photo for a tuck spot. It's a wedding, and I think it said 1940. I think if it's either 41 or 43. There's the date on the back of that wedding. Just check. Some printable and some vintage advertisement. Another one of those seersucker pockets, and there's just a little tag in the pocket, and then behind it is just this tag that I made. That's the other female catalog. Paper bag, another tuck spot, another vintage photo, some more Civil Defense League pamphlet, and that is my uncle's ration book. And that is it. That's the back cover. So this will be listed in the shop. If you're interested, you can hop on over there and check it out. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I will see you next time. Bye.